Hey everybody, welcome back. It's your girl Ned Zane. Today is something that I haven't done in a while, and it's a movie review / audience recording, and this is for Disney's Zootopia 2. You know, the sequel that we've been waiting for the past 9 years, and finally came in theaters, and I finally got the chance to watch it, and I have a lot of things to say about this. I haven't done a movie review in a while. You know, I think the last one I did was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and also the last time audience recording was Puss in Boots: Last Wish. I've had some people ask me to do a review and audience recording of this, and which I was planning for a while because I was like, you know, this is a movie I've been waiting for like the past 9 years, and this is my anticipated movie of the year, and this is a movie that's worth talking about. Now, I am going to start something new. I am going to start to do a no spoiler review, then do the audience recordings, and then a spoiler review, because I think people who haven't seen this are afraid to go see it because of just how sequels haven't been the best, or they don't want to be disappointed on a certain thing that has been one of the hottest topics of this movie, and you probably know what that specific topic is. So for people who haven't seen this movie, I'm just going to start off with this. For the past few months has been so stressful for me because I couldn't handle the stress of waiting for this movie to come in theaters, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to wait and, you know, not to get spoiled because everyone was posting spoilers or trying to get as much info on the movie as possible to be put on social media like Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, you name it. And there was times that I would go on social media and then I see a photo of the movie and then I just quickly scroll up. I'm like, no, I can't see that. No, I don't want to get spoiled. I can't. So yeah, so that part was very difficult to do for months. So for the past couple weeks, you know, since the LA premiere, which was beginning of November, and I believe it was two-ish weeks before Thanksgiving, before the release date, I haven't been this stressed out over a movie in a very long time, especially a Disney movie. I lost sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus on other things because I was so caught up with this movie that it was just so exhausting for me. It was an emotional roller coaster for me. I was happy, then sad, then happy again, then mad, happy again, anxious, happy, anxious, you know, just up and down, back and forth. It was mentally exhausting, and you know, there was times I was having really high hopes of the movie, and then I was having very little hope of the movie, and then high again, little. So that part was just so stressful for me. And when the premiere happened, people were saying things like, ooh, Wildehopps didn't happen, oh, they're not a couple, they're still friends, there's no romance, no kissing, very platonic, sorry, Wildehopps shippers, it didn't happen, Antis won, Disney trolled you guys, they ship baited you, it's not happening. And I was coming to terms of did Disney actually bait us? Did they really do this to us to make us think that Wildehopps was happening and to get us hyped for this movie, and then it turns out it was never going to happen? I even had some moments of you know, thinking that if that actually happens, it would ruin me and I would probably have to disown Disney for that, which was one of the things I was hoping not to do because I love Disney. You know, I may not like them now or their newest movies, but I still love Disney. I love the old Disney, the classic Disney. But I'm there's no way Disney can be this cruel. They can do some dumb stuff, but when it comes to lying, false advertising, and baiting the audience for a movie, that's just too far. And that would even be stupid because after the people watch the movie, then what? What do they expect? They would lose half of their fans, and then that would ruin them for a very long time. That would be one of the biggest mistakes of their lives, and Disney would, you know, would be in a very bad place. So yeah, I was just there's no way Disney could do this. With this movie, I had high expectations for this movie because I was there's no way they're gonna fuck this up. There is no way they're gonna screw this one because this is one of the biggest Disney movies ever, you know, bigger than Frozen to me. And, you know, it was $1 billion box office. It became one of the biggest animated movies. It won so many awards and everybody was just nonstop talking about it. So I was just like, there's no way they're gonna mess this sequel. I went to see this in theaters beginning of December. When I walked in that theater, and it's like 20-ish minutes before showtime, I was shaking. Like, I was excited, but I was so nervous because I was hoping for the best, but it was also like, this is gonna be the moment of truth of what's going to happen in the movie. Like, is it gonna happen or is it not gonna happen? After seeing this movie in theaters, so, just to rip the Band-Aid off, for people who are Wildehopps shippers, don't listen to any negative reviews or anti-Wildehopps that are saying that it didn't happen, they're not a canon, they're not a couple, it's still platonic. They are bullshitting you. They are bullshitting you, they're in denial, or they just want to piss you off. Because this movie was fucking amazing. Freaking amazing movie, and there was so many signs that Wildehopps is happening. But I will say this. There are some things you might be bummed of, like, damn, why did that not happen? But you're still gonna be satisfied with the results. You're not gonna leave the theater disappointed, angry, or feel betrayed or baited, because to me, I don't think we got shit baited. You know, the animation is stunning, beautifully detailed in every way. It's funny, it's sad, it's beautiful. It's a bit dark, which I kind of like. And Nick and Judy's chemistry is just as charming as the first one. And guys, not gonna say much, but there's too many indications that this is leading to something more than just platonic. And also, another important thing, because a lot of people don't actually know about this, but there is a post-credit scene at the very, very end, you know, after credits rolled, so stay tuned for that. This post-credit scene, you know, what happens, it gives so much hope for the third one, and it gives a pretty big clue of what the third one's going to be about. So there's still light at the end of the tunnel that we're going to have a lot more, you know, Zootopia, we're going to have more Nick and Judy, and we're going to, you know, expand more of this Zootopia universe, so stay tuned for that. I highly recommend seeing this in either IMAX, RPX, Dolby, or ScreenX. It's worth the money. Trust me, it's worth the money. I saw this in IMAX and it was freaking amazing. Like, I was just blown away by it. So it's worth the experience of watching this in any of those formats. Now, that's the end of my no spoiler review, so if you haven't seen this movie, pause this video, go see this movie, and then come back to watch my spoiler review and my audience recordings. So off to my audience recordings in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, the exciting part of this review is the audience recordings. And I know some people have requested me to do one for this movie, and I actually thought this was the perfect movie to do that. So I did. Me and my friends, we had so much fun seeing this movie. We were laughing so hard. We were kind of fangirling on certain scenes, just being girls. Right when the movie started, I asked one of my friends if she thought Nick and Judy make a cute couple, and I loved her answer. It was just so flattering. I was just like, thank you. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the recordings, and I hope you enjoy my reaction to this movie, including my friends' reactions. Enjoy.
Do you think they make a cute couple? Do you think they make a cute couple?
Please. No, yeah. I think they were gonna get to that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Knock, knock. Hi. You know, this sounds a lot like just a you guys conversation, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead.
Is there a reason why you don't take anything seriously?
Jokes are a classic defense mechanism for someone with a traumatic childhood.
Would you like a traumatic adulthood?
I would not.
I allowed you to work together because you did this.
Represented by the disconnected affectation of her emotionally insecure partner. But with hard work, Karen, tackles down. Joel, the safe word is coconut.
You know who else cried for help? That dick stuck in that tuba.
Oh, him and the dick. What does your fox partner say?
I know.
Really,
Piggity Falls?
well, you two are very different.
I pray every day that you'll come back home and make babies.
Mom.
Just remember the personal partnerships. Hey, maybe try to find that dick pic.
Bye.
What's he saying? Dick pic?
This is dead, I say.
Oh my God, a viper! A window viper.
Ha! Pubbert. I am Pubbert. Hi.
Judy. I'm Judy Hopps.
Ah! What the pork? Well, 'tis nice to meet you, Judy. Wait, Judy Hopps? The Judy Hopps? Are you working this? I mean, you're clearly working it. But are you actually working this?
No, I'm actually, well, it's just a hunch. Protecting.
Good. I don't think it has enough guards.
That was my joke. And there's nothing here. Let's call it a night. Hobbs?
Oh my God, Ratatouille! Ratatouille!
Takes two to tango, but a threesome to be some. Let's find you a reptile and rock the sun.
A threesome to know some? Oh my God. Threesome!
Thank you for this.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, it's your anniversary?
Oh my God.
I
Oh my God, Sleepy in the truck! Yes! Oh my God. That's a good reference. Hakuna Matata. Oh, this is gonna be gross. He gets the big one. Oh my God. Dude, this is so Lady and the Tramp.
Hey guys, they ate it! Look at their faces! I don't need crumbs. Hermano, get me a scone! Okay.
As I always say, I really am just a dumb bunny. Nick? I really am just dumb. This was a gift.
Yeah, you know, migration of therapy animals. What? You know,
Oh.
all right, here we go.
Sense in trouble in paradise. Want to talk about it?
What I want, solitary animals like me don't have real friends. And I don't want to lose her.
care about it.
I don't know how to say that.
Oh, come on.
You know what, bud? I think you just did.
Wait, how'd you do that?
Last case, there was kind of a twist.
I know. Oh my gosh. My heart is pounding. Please don't be mad at me.
I stabbed her.
But, I mean, you get it.
That looks scary.
Permission to hug.
Oh.
I'll help your friend.
Okay, I don't care that we're different. I care about you. Okay? And I didn't say it.
I do try too hard because deep down I'm afraid that I am what everyone thinks I am, and I suppress my discomfort because I'm worried it makes me look weak and I want to be strong, and I think I'm failing all the time. And I only take what you say personally because you're the only one in my life who ever believed in me, even when I don't even believe in myself. No one else in the world matters to me more than you do either.
I have unresolved childhood trauma that I refuse to discuss because being vulnerable scares
I
me.
make dangerous choices because I have an unhealthy but hero complex.
And I didn't join the ZPD because I wanted to be a cop. I joined because I always wanted to be part of a pack. And the thought of losing you scares me because you're my pack.
Never have loved you, and I do need a herd of therapy animals, and I should have told you that you are the only partner I would ever want because you're my fluffle.
What?
A bunch of rabbits.
This is shiny.
The Shining! Oh my god! Bro! Oh my god! Bro, you did the oh my god!
Howdy, puppet!
Ryan, go! You say justice is dead. I say.
Yeah! Oh my god!
You offended her.
Good night.
Oh, it's a bird!
Okay, so that was all the audience recordings. Now it's time for spoilers. So, like I said, this movie was amazing. Great freaking sequel. I think we're getting what we wished for, which is pretty rare for, Disney to do that, but I think we're getting it. There's other things I love about this movie. I love the story. I love the action. I love the comedy. I love the new characters. I love the new lands like Marsh Market. I absolutely love the chemistry between Nick and Judy, and there were some captivating moments that were so well done and directed, and what made this movie so good. Seeing this in IMAX was great. And it wasn't just the visuals, but the music was so good. And there were some scenes that, like, with the music that gave me chills and, goosebumps, and it was like, vibrating the whole theater. And yeah, it was a great experience to see this in IMAX. There's so much to talk about this movie, and of course, there's a lot to talk about Wildehopps. Bro, the animation was flawless, and probably one of the best animation I've seen in a while. The quality of it was so crystal clear that you could see like every little detail, like from like the fur, the scales, the lands, the clothes, the texture, even like the facial expressions. Especially like seeing it in the big screen, especially like an IMAX, it's insane. Like one of the things that I actually didn't really notice was the patterns on Judy's jacket. Like her shoulder pads or like the back had some like designs that I didn't notice until I saw it in theaters. Like it's really that detailed that you could even see, little designs like that on the character's clothing. And plus I could see like the lining on like Nick's shirt and his tie, and you can tell by the texture of his clothing. So it was that insane. As much as I love K-pop Demon Hunters, I kind of hope this one wins for Best Animated Feature. Like, it's just so beautiful to look at, and just the quality of it is it's just mind-blowing to me. And now with the action, the action was really cool. I kind of like that we got a little bit of like the bad guys, kind of vibe, because there was like 2 car chase scenes. And some of the fight scenes were pretty crazy, and there was one particular fight scene that was kind of horrifying to watch, and it reminded me a lot of another Disney movie, which I'll get to in a bit. The music was breathtaking. The background music, it really gives a great depth in the story and the emotions of a scene. And mostly when it came to Nick and Judy, sometimes the music will have a lot of emotions, or sometimes it would have some like melodies that were kind of a little bit romantic. I think the music did a great job, setting the tone, setting up the emotions with the story, a scene, or what a character is going through. I think the music did a great job making you feel excited, sad, or even scared. Shakira's new song, Zoo, that song was dope, and the beat of it's just so great. And it also, like, there were some parts like it vibrated the theater, and which gave me goosebumps, and it's just a hyped up song, and it's just so fun to listen. And yeah, I consider this better than Try Everything. The comedy in this movie was insanely funny, and I have to say, there was so many adult jokes And there were some things I was like, no way they just said that, or did I hear that right? You know, of course with Nibbles, you know, the damn like threesome joke, like, oh, threesome is better than no sum. And then she also said something like foursome is better than, you know, something. And I'm just like, yeah, you say threesome? And I was looking at my friend like, did she just say threesome? Like, what? I'm sorry, but I couldn't get over the fact when she was like, you know, with snakes, you know, the one sock, like one sock. I'm like, why are you saying it like that? It's like, do they wear a pant or one long sock? And it's just, the way she said it, I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's considered to be some sort of sex joke. I don't know. It's just the way she said it, I was like, one sock. One of the things that I really liked about this movie was that there were some dark moments, you know, some that I was like, okay, that looks horrifying, or, you know, that kind of put me on the edge of like, oh God, what's gonna happen? I think this one was slightly a little bit more darker than the first one. You know, Milton, you know, when he clawed Nick's paw, you know, just digging, I was just kind of like, okay, that's a little bit intimidating. The climate wall scene, and you know, the fight between Paul Bert and Nick, the Shining scene, like that scene just was nuts, because they had the music, they had, you know, the whole like, you know, maze of like the snow, and you know, Paul Bert is doing the Jack Nicholson expression and the limping while holding one side of his arm, and just, you know, that shot of him, I was just like, okay, that is a little bit terrifying. And of course, our return characters, you know, besides Nick and Judy, we had Chief Bogo, which Chief Bogo, I was kind of liking how he didn't really change as much. I mean, he slightly did, and, you know, at the beginning when Nick and Judy just had that chaotic, you know, event of like, you know, chasing the anteater and just turn out badly, and, you know, Chief Bogo was still giving them a hard time. He was still kind of, you know, I don't want to say insult Judy, but like giving her a hard time. And I'm like, is he still giving her a hard time like he did with the first movie, just not giving her a chance to do stuff, or giving her a chance to, you know, prove herself or do her job, or keep insulting her intelligence? But I like how when he told all the other officers to leave, he gave her this talk of like, look, I like you, and, you know, I respect what you did, but, you know, you got to take a step back or something. So I kind of like that he said that, and, you know, giving Judy the benefit of the doubt. And then, of course, we have Clawhauser, we have Flash, we have Mr. Big and Frou-Frou, and I like that we get to meet Frou-Frou's daughter, Judith Bellwether, who looks insane and bringing a lot of, like, Silence of the Lamb, which I really liked. And, of course, we had a little snip of Weaselton, Duke Weaselton, you know. I like the reference of, it was the same thing from the first movie when he was selling Disney movies, you know, Moana, Wrangled, Floatson. So I like how they add that scene again. And now for like the new characters, you know, the main new character, Gary, you know, I loved Gary the Snake. I thought he was sweet, and of course, you know, when it comes to Ke Huy Quan, he always nails his roles, and he was just so funny in this one. And I have to say, the animation on him was so cool and very detailed, like with his scales and like the different like shades of blue. I thought, you know, the animation on him was really, really cool. I thought the bonding he had with Judy was sweet, and, you know, I was like, oh, when Judy got poisoned and they have this heartwarming moment, and, you know, just melted my heart, and, you know, he's comforting her, and I was just like, you know, my heart when he asked her permission to hug. I'm like, oh, he asked permission. Like, it was very sweet. I thought it was kind of comical, you know, the way he introduced himself to Judy, you know, when she's like, what's your name? And he's like, Gary the Snake. And she's like, and your last name? The Snake. It was like, it's funny because at first you're thinking Gary the Snake, but it's Gary the Snake. So I thought that was kind of like funny that they did that. And then we have Nibbles Maple Stick. Oh, Nibbles. Man, she was a crazy character. I mean, she's funny, but at the same time annoying. She's just one of those like comedy, annoying characters. I was pretty much like Nick, you know, he was like, I don't trust her, she's crazy, she eats pencils. He was just so uncomfortable around her, which I thought was kind of funny to watch. There were some things that were kind of slightly annoying with her, like, well, like some that I was just kind of like, okay, whatever, I don't know how that happened, but whatever. You know, when Nick is in jail and he noticed that Nibbles is right across, and he's like, how did you get here? And it's like, yeah, how did she get here? And she's like, destiny. And I'm like, okay, no explanation, okay, fuck it, she's just in jail. And then, you know, Paul Bert poisoned her, but then after, like, you know, the confession between Nick and Judy, she just comes out and said, yep, I survived, I don't know how, but I did. And I'm like, so we don't know how? I think it was the anti-venom, but I was just like, okay, screw it. Mayor Winddancer was hilarious, and of course, I like how Patrick Warburton was the voice of him, because like every time when I hear his voice, I'm automatically thinking Kronk. He was like, you call some justice, I call it nay. It's just funny when you hear Patrick Warburton just going, nay. It was just so funny. When Nick gets arrested and he asks Nick, where's the bunny? And he's like, I don't know, but hey, she's a rabbit, so maybe she'll come out of your hat. And he's like, I don't have a hat. Hogbum's like, bro, he's messing with you. And he's like, oh, I know that. Okay, just take him away. I will say the one thing I was slightly a little bummed was that there wasn't really a lot of references of Kronk, and mostly like dialogue. Like, I was kind of expecting he would say certain phrases that Kronk said in the movie, like, you know, oh yeah, it's all coming together, or I don't know, mention spinach puffs, like, I want spinach puffs, or I need to cook some spinach puffs, or my spinach puffs, you know, I don't know, or I don't know, I think it would be hilarious if he did squeak, squeakity, squeak, squeak it, and, you know, just speak squirrel. Despite that, he was still a fun character. The Lynxes were really cool characters, and, you know, had some intimidating moments, and, you know, one of them, who is Paul Bert, well, I have to say, he was very menacing. I'll have to be honest with Paul Bert. I kind of had a feeling he was going to be the villain because I don't know if it's just I watched too many movies of, you know, similar things like this, or it was just, I felt like it was going to be very similar with Bellwether, which I was surprised that she was the villain, but I was thinking, okay, he's acting innocent and sweet, just like how Bellwether did, and, you know, really liking Judy and, you know, looking up to Judy, and then just snap, just changes. But I will say I mostly assumed like I was thinking more like he was the villain, but then redeems later, or like, you know, it was like a setup when he wanted to help Judy and Gary, you know, that he would help them get to the weather wall, you know, the monitor room, but then that would be like, there would be an ambush, like where the Lynx family is, that they want to get rid of the book, they want to get rid of Gary and Judy, and, you know, but then Paul Bert probably changed his mind of like, oh, I can't do it, and tries to warn Judy and Gary to leave, but, you know, because he had a connection with Judy and he had some sort of bond with Gary, so I was kind of having a feeling it was going to lead something more like that, but it didn't. It was just, nope, he was just a villain all along, and he wanted to do it for his family because he's kind of like the odd one of the family. Like I believe he's like the youngest in the family, and the dad, Milton, is not very nice. So I think it was more like he wanted to make his father proud. The voice acting, I did not know that was Andy Samberg. Because I was like, this dude sounds so familiar. And then when I found out it was Andy Samberg, I'm like, what? And to be honest, out of all the other voice actors, I think Andy Samberg impressed me the most. I don't want to judge so much, but when it comes to like comedy actors, you know, when they play certain, you know, serious roles, sometimes it's hard for me to take them seriously. And it's not just the physical, it sometimes can be the voice. You know, like, you know, for example, Will Ferrell, I can never take him seriously. He can never do a serious role because when he acts and when he talks, you're just laughing. You just can't take him seriously. But with like Andy Samberg, it's not just the physical acting, but it's mostly his voice, because his voice sounds like a goofball. It just has that comical tone, and, you know, mostly remember him, I've seen a bit of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and, he's hilarious. And then one of his biggest voice acting roles was Johnny from Hotel Transylvania. And, when he was the voice of Johnny, he was just this goofball, this geek, quirky guy. And, when you just hear his voice, it's just funny to listen. I don't know if it was just like he's older, he's aged, and, his voice is slowly changing, or if he actually tried to deepen his voice to sound more mature and intimidating. I think that could be the case, but I don't know. But yeah, I was very impressed with him, and I would never think that he actually can portray a good villain. Some of the scenes in this movie were beautifully animated, captivating, and were the emotional core in this movie. The gala scene, it was beautifully animated. I like how the colors were mostly like black, dark blue, dark purple, light blue. And the only color that like pops up the most was Judy's dress, which was bright yellow. And I thought it was interesting that, they use a lot of dark colors, and with Judy's dress being the only one with the bright, vibrant color, that you're more focused on that color and the rest is just, blended in. I like that we got to see Nick and Judy dress in formal wear, because we've never seen Nick in a tuxedo and we've never seen Judy wearing a dress. I thought this scene was really fun to watch and very beautiful, imagery and colors, and I like that it had a bit of Ocean's 11 / Mission Impossible style. The Marsh Market scene was very fun to watch. I absolutely love the atmosphere. I like the greenery with like the hints of blue and other aquatic colors. I like that this had a bit of a down south look, including like the music. It was kind of a mix of like Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi. The bar scene I thought was really cool, where the reptiles go to hang out and drink or eat flies. The one that I was very kind of curious about was how Nick told Judy that he has an aversion with reptiles. And I couldn't tell if that means like he's afraid of reptiles or he's just grossed out by reptiles. I'm thinking he's grossed out by it because, when him and Judy, go into this bar, he's all like cringy and disgusted and seeing them crawling all over the place, shedding skins, and, he had like 2 little geckos like on him, and he's just like, just like all of that. And then, he stepped on one of the reptiles' tail that just immediately falls off, and he tries to attach it back, but it doesn't. And then, the reptile's like, keep it. And it was still moving, and it just was making him cringe. So I think it was more like he was kind of in with like the way reptiles, their lifestyle, or the way, they live, they can shed skin, they can, lose a limb or a tail, they have long tongues, they have mucus, just all of those gnarly things that he's kind of like about. The honeymoon lodge, I really liked that scene, and I liked how this particular scene was the breakdown of Nick and Judy's partnership. When they're climbing on the cliff, he's telling her to slow down. She's like, oh, no, let's keep going. We gotta keep going. And then he uses the carrot pen and mocks her with, the recording from the first movie when Judy apologizes to Nick and, she says, I really am just a dumb bunny. And, he mocks her with it, which she did not like. And, they're fighting over the carrot pen, and then Nick drops it, it falls down, and it breaks. Very interesting, with the scene, we're laughing, and then when the carrot pen just breaks into pieces, me and my friends, we were like silent. We were like, oh God, that's not good. And with like Nick, he can see how much he hurted Judy, and Judy didn't even look at him. She just continued climbing up and just ignored him. And, that's when, their partnership is restrained with their different opinions. I thought the way with the dialogue was very, very interesting, with Nick telling Judy, he doesn't care about the case. It's not worth dying for. The world, it is what it is. And sometimes being a hero doesn't make a difference. And, you know, when he said that to Judy, I was like, that is a very accurate statement. And, you know, it's a harsh reality for Judy to understand, you know, how, no matter how much to make the world a better place, and no matter how hard you try and want to solve things, sometimes doing the right thing or being a hero to make the world a better place or to solve a case, it's not really going to change anything. I kind of like that she was a little bit hesitant, like, I think maybe we're too different. It was like, you could just see like she did not want to say it, but she just had to. The way that Judy was standing on the table and Nick is looking up to her, like begging her to leave because the ZBD was coming in and they were going to arrest them. And he's like, we gotta go. And, you know, Judy looking down at him and just saying like, the world's never going to be a better place if no one's brave enough to do the right thing. And, you know, the talking, the lighting, I like how the light was shining more on Nick and Judy and the dark lighting on the background, and just the silence of it, like there's no background music. I thought that was a really good way of, you know, toning the scene. And, you know, like the symbolism of like the lodge splitting apart, you know, that they're separated, that their partnership is broken. The thing that I find crazy about this is that this scene was taking place at a honeymoon lodge, you know, which involves romantic couples spending their honeymoon in, you know, the lodge. And it's crazy that, you know, people are saying that, you know, it's platonic and their interaction is platonic and all that, but it's like, out of any other place that the directors would have picked for these two characters to investigate and have this moment, the directors could have picked a restaurant, a bank, a hotel, a regular lodge, or a house, or a tree house. Out of all those other places, why would they choose a honeymoon lodge? Like, that's just the one thing I'm kind of like, that's interesting that is the place that they have that moment of realization, and, you know, that they're splitting up and that their breaking point. It's like, why would it be taking place at a honeymoon lodge? Like, that's a very interesting concept. This is my favorite scene in this movie. It's probably one of the best parts of this movie. And it's the climate wall along with the confession scene. The way they did this scene with the music, the cinematography, the tone, the emotions, and the references of other Disney movies was insane, but brilliant in a way. You know, starting with the climate wall, you know, it's right after, you know, with the ZBD going after Judy, Paulbert, and Gary, heading to the entrance that leads to Tundra Town because they want to track down, you know, the lighthouse, which leads to Gary's hometown, you know, to find his great-grandma's house, and they can find the document that proves that his great-grandma was the owner of the book, and all of that. And meanwhile, Nick and Nibbles are trying to catch up, but when they get to, you know, the entrance, somehow Nick gets locked up because somehow Nibbles closed the door behind him. And I was just like, which put Nick in danger because the heaters were slowly turning back on, which could possibly, you know, burn him badly or kill him, so it wasn't good. And then Judy notices Nick is locked, and she's like, oh no, why is he locked? Why is the door locked? And, you know, Judy's trying to find a way to rescue him, but can't do anything but watch. And, you know, Nick was so close to being burned alive, but luckily Nibbles made it in time and opened the door. Judy is relieved and then told Paulbert, like, oh, sorry, last case was kind of a twist. And then Paulbert's like, I know. And then all of a sudden, boom, and at first I thought he stabbed her, but then it turned out he actually poisoned her. But that intense of like, it was just calm, and then just, I was just like, whoa, what just happened? And then the way it was revealed that Paulbert, you know, being the antagonist, and this was actually a setup so he can find, you know, the lighthouse, to find the document and to burn it, and, you know, something with the book to protect, you know, his family from being, exposed of like, they're not the original owners of the book or something. And I also like how Gary actually tried to attack Paul Bert when he saw what he did to Judy. The way Paul Bert's demeanor changed from being like this goofball to like this charming but deceiving personality, it was bringing back a lot like Prince Hans from Frozen, that he was this gentleman, he was very sweet and noble, and then he changed to being like this, manipulative, vindictive. And then, hearing Judy crying for Nick and trying so hard to go for the door, but she can't move and she's slowly dying because it's slowly paralyzing her. I just thought it was so devastating to see that. That particular scene was such a big reference of Frozen, when Prince Hans, reveals himself as the villain while Anna is freezing and, she's slowly dying. It's the same way with Judy being poisoned and, she's paralyzed and she can't really move. And, just the way they did it, I was like, oh my God, this is so much like Frozen, which I kind of liked. Gary is slowly coming to Judy because he's freezing. Paul Bert threw him in the snow, so he's suffering too, just being cold. I like the way they did the scene, like, this is happening, meanwhile Nick is searching for Judy. And bro, when they used the same music from the first one, and it was during the scene when Nick told Judy about what happened to him at Junior Ranger Scouts, I was just like, oh God, not this music, because it was very emotional when I heard that from the first movie. Gary comforting Judy, saying things like, it's gonna be okay, we can get through this, it's, you try to help me, and, you're my best warm-blooded friend. And again, very similar to Frozen, when Olaf is giving that talk to Anna that some people are worth melting for. I don't know why Nick went outside, assuming Judy was outside, but he went outside, and then he sees Paul Bert, holding the poison, and he's just standing there. Nick is having this sense of like, okay, something's not right. Nick asks Paul Bert, where is she? And then Paul Bert's like, sorry, buddy, she didn't make it, the snake venom, made it faster, but hey, you'll find out. Another reference of Frozen, when Prince Hans tells Elsa that her sister is dead because of her, and Elsa is just devastated, and it's during like a winter storm. It's the same freaking thing with this scene. He's trying to fight, to not get stabbed by the venom with Paul Bert just forcing it. He noticed, Gary is calling him saying like, hey, you gotta get the anti-venom, it's the only way to save Judy. And then he sees Judy unconscious, and then that gives him a little hope of like, okay, maybe I can save her. Nick and Paul Bert are fighting for the anti-venom, and the anti-venom is now at the edge of this ice that is about to crack, and Nick is trying to get to it. And then somehow Paul Bert like stops him and tells him, no, don't do it. We'll both fall. We'll both die. Don't do it. I just thought it was so crazy that Paul Bert is trying to stab Nick, and he's just like encouraging him to just die. Like, come on, man, let me just stab you. It's not worth the fight. Like, come on, she's gone. Just let me do it. I'm like, which I thought was insane that he would do that, but it was kind of twisted in a way that he keeps convincing Nick to just die. But, when he gives Nick that, convincing of like, don't do it, he's like, agree to disagree. And then he gets the anti-venom, and then he throws it, down because, Gary was like, they were below. So, and I was like, damn, that's a lucky throw. Otherwise, if he wasn't able to throw it that far, or if Gary wasn't able to get it, that would have been it for Nick and Judy. When Judy gets the anti-venom and then sees that Nick is going to be falling to his death with Paul Bert, and then she's running as fast as she can to rescue him, the slow motion of him falling to his death while Judy is running as fast as she can to rescue him, and the music just keeps getting more and more intense, and then it's just like, oh God, is she going to make it? And this is also very similar with Beauty and the Beast, when Gaston is fighting with the beast on the roof of the castle while Belle runs upstairs to rescue the beast. It's the same thing with Judy running up to save Nick. That whole scene, I thought it really felt mature and deep, and kind of sets this tone of like, this is a life or death situation. It also gave me that classic Disney fight scene with the villain, character fighting with the villain, and the intensity with the fight and the music, and put you on edge of like, oh my god, is the character gonna make it? Is the character gonna be able to defeat the villain? Like, it's just so intense that it's just kind of fun to watch. So with that scene, I really like the intensity of it. And then of course, after Judy saves Nick from falling to his death, this scene was so emotional, so elegant, and the colors of this particular scene had so much romantic feeling to it. And it's the confession scene. These two characters almost lost each other. They both faced a life or death experience. And, the moment when they see each other again and then just run up to hug each other, my heart dropped. And it was so sweet to see them hug, which, to be honest, I like this hug better than the first one. With the first one when they hugged, which they did, but it wasn't as embracing as this one was. I thought it was kind of hysterical, they're hugging and so much adrenaline, and they're like, oh my god, I thought you were dead, and oh my god, I tried to save you, oh my god, I'm so sorry, oh my god. And then, it's just, and then Gary's just like, automatically just feeling like the third wheel, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go help your friend, and then he just leaves. And I thought that was pretty funny. And then they automatically, are expressing each other how they feel, their flaws and their fears. I have to say, the dialogue and the choices of words that they exchange, yeah, this wasn't really feeling like platonic at all. Like, the vibe of it was giving me that feeling of like, oh, is something gonna happen? Like, I'm getting the sense of something romantic is gonna happen. When Nick was finally opening to Judy about his insecurities, why he doesn't really express himself very well, and, really sharing of like how much she really means to him, and, explaining like why he teases her so much, or making fun of her ears, or like mocking her with the carrot pen, and just basically saying like, it's because I don't want you to get hurt. I'm afraid of losing you, and you're the best thing that ever happened to me, and no one in the world matters more to me than you do. And you could just feel his pain, and, and seeing him being so vulnerable, which we see a little bit of that in the first movie, but like with this, it just felt like we saw a lot more of just him being very, very vulnerable. And, when he was saying, like, he's been alone ever since he was 12 and never really had anybody in his life, it was just very sad to hear that. And then it's just so emotional, and it is so moving and all. And then when it was Judy's turn, she just says so much so fast. Like, he was just like, no one in the world matters more to me than you do. And then she's like, I am reckless, I have a hero bunny complex, I do this, I do that, and you're the only one that ever believes in me because I don't believe in myself, and you're important to me too, and oh my god, I do this, I do that, and oh my god, you're the best partner I ever had in my life. And I was like, Nick, like, looking at her like, girl, you're talking too fast. And I was just like, wait, slow down, you're talking too much. But I know that this scene is not entirely supposed to be hysterical, but the way they said, certain things and the delivery of it was just kind of funny, but adorable at the same time. After, Judy says so much to him, he's just kind of like, I have unresolved childhood trauma, and being vulnerable scares me. It was just like, it was kind of robotic in a way. Like, he's just like, he's so emotional, and he's like, I have unresolved childhood trauma. It's like, I don't know why, but I mean, it's not funny. It's not funny, but it's just, I started to laugh because it was just his facial expression when he said that. It was just kind of hilarious. And like the part when he said, I didn't join the CBD because I wanted to be a cop. I joined a CBD because I want to be part of a pack. And I'm afraid of losing you because you're my pack. And I'm like, stop it! And then I thought it was funny that she was like, you're my fluffle. And Nick is like, what? What does that mean? And she's like, it's a bunch of rabbits. And I thought it was cute, but it was just so funny how emotional she was, and it was just so adorable. Even though like this scene was so touching and sweet, to be honest, I felt like there was so much more. Like, they had so much to say to each other, including Nick. Like, I felt like Nick had a lot more to say than, you know, what he said. And I don't know, when he said, like, I have unresolved childhood trauma, I didn't know if that had to do with, you know, with the Junior Ranger Scouts, you know, situation, or his relationship with his mom, you know, that it was very, you know, estranged and, you know, very distant. And that's a part that we don't really know a lot about. And, you know, that's one piece I really want to know more about Nick is, you know, what was the deal with his mom? I don't know, but there was also a part of me that felt like Nick was going to say something like I have deep feelings for you, or I'm having feelings for you. I have to be honest, the way they shot that scene and the constant back and forth of them expressing themselves and talking a little bit fast and, you know, being all emotional, a part of me, I was kind of thinking like, is something gonna happen? Like, I just have that feeling like something's gonna happen. For one moment, I thought they were going to kiss. Like, I just had this sense of like, oh God, is this gonna happen? Is this really gonna happen? Like, there were some moments that like, I look at Nick and just his expressions and, you know, the way he looks at Judy, I was just like, dude, you look like you wanna do it. I was like, just go for it, damn it, just go for it. And then of course I was a little bit annoyed that Nibbles just shows up and, you know, I felt like Nick and Judy had a lot more to say, but they get cut off by Nibbles, and, you know, Nibbles just says, well, that's what I call an overshare, and yeah, I survived the venom, and yeah, and I'm just like, that's it? I truly believe that if Nibbles came a minute later, they probably would kiss, or even make a move to kiss, you know, which I would have been okay with that. I would have been okay with an almost kiss, but of course Nibble was just like, hey guys, and it's... A part of me understands why they didn't kiss, because this was supposed to be a moment of them just talking to each other, just expressing each other, you know, how they feel, what they're going through, what they're afraid of, and how they feel, the way they feel about each other. So a part of me gets why the kiss didn't happen, but I still thought it would have been a beautiful moment for the kiss to happen. So I guess we'll have to wait for the third one. Now, the biggest part about this movie that is driving people insane, and it's becoming a hot topic on social media, and that is Nick and Judy and their partnership, and that Wildehopps is almost becoming a canon. I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell that this is platonic. No way. Like, there's way too many signs, there's way too many romantic implication. Like, no, I'm not buying the platonicness, like, platonic my ass. Like, this is not platonic at all. And you know, it's not just us. It's not only us that ships them. Even some of the characters from the movie ships them. Like Nibbles. I think Nibbles actually thinks they're a couple, because why would she say, oh, trouble in paradise? Because she thinks they're a couple. And the way she looks at them is like, there's something going on between you two. And here's another thing, the walrus, you know, the part when, you know, Nick and Judy want to go meet Jesus, and then Nibbles calls, you know, I forgot the name of the walrus, but like it's the part when she goes, hey bub, blah, blah, blah. And then the walrus offers Nick and Judy a ride to this bar. And, you know, if I can remember, Nick says something to her, and then Judy says, happy anniversary. And I'm like, Judy, you do know if you say happy anniversary in public around other animals, they're going to assume romantically. And that's what the walrus did. The walrus heard her say happy anniversary, and then he goes, oh, it's your anniversary? And he turns on these like heart, you know, these warming lights that's very kind of have a romantic vibe. And then you hear the song from Lady and the Tramp, Bella Notte, which is the famous, you know, song from the scene with, you know, Lady and the Tramp eating the spaghetti. It's a very romantic song. And it's just like, okay. But they never said like, oh, no, we're not a couple, or, oh, no, we're not boyfriend, girl. They don't say anything. They kind of like, like Nick's kind of annoyed, Judy's kind of like, like, okay, this is awkward, but they still let it happen. Like, it's insane. And there are some that is like, okay, that's definitely romantic. This is not ambiguous. It's not, yeah, it might be romantic, or it can be platonic as well, or it's 50-50. No, it's 100% happening, guys. Even though it's not entirely official, but we do know it's going to happen soon in the third movie. Because now, more and more people are starting to feel the romance blossoming. I even heard like some anti-Wildhoppers are slowly going to our side of shipping them. Of like, you know what? At first I didn't ship them. I thought they'd be better off friends, but now after seeing the second one, I think they should be a couple, which that's a pretty big thing. Even like the directors are mentioning the romance. They are aware of Wildehopps. Even like the actors Jason Bateman, Jennifer Goodwin, like I've heard some of their interviews that, you know, the reporter has asked them about Wildehopps. So they're even acknowledging it, and they both are like, oh, we're open to it, you know, we're both open to anything, especially the romance. I have to say, I'm actually genuinely surprised how much Wildehopps is almost becoming a canon. Because at first I was like, maybe Disney just wants this to be a buddy cop movie that has no romance. It's just involved with a fox and a bunny being good friends and accepting each other's differences. But no, I think throughout the years, so many people have expressed themselves on social media that Nick and Judy should be a couple, and there's a lot of romance in the air, and the directors are noticing about it and noticing how people feel about these two, and I decided to take our side. And guys, we have a lot of male and female friendships. We have Moana and Maui, we have Woody and Jesse, we have Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope Von Schweetz. And everybody's saying that the way Nick and Judy interact with each other can be platonic too. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen any of that kind of interaction and tension in any of those male and female friendships. Like, name one. I can't think of any like similarities that, oh, Moana and Maui have the same interaction that Nick and Judy have. No, they don't. And it's just like, I don't care about the age gap. You get my point. If Disney does this, they'll be making history again. You know, the movie will make history, the love story between Nick and Judy will be so memorable, and everyone all over the world will go nuts over it, and I think it's worth it. And if you don't see that or believe that, well, agree to disagree. Man, that was so much to talk about for this movie, but I'm glad I did, and I'm glad that it's all done. Even though this video, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'll try my best to keep it short. If it's long, I'm sorry. I just have a lot of things to say about this movie. But yeah, I'm glad that this movie was good. I'm glad that it had a major focus on Nick and Judy's relationship and where it's going. Now, since the sequel's out and I've seen it, now we definitely know where it's going and makes us more excited for the third one. And I hope with Disney, you know, I'm not really gonna thank Disney for this. I'm thinking more for the directors, you know, Brian Howard and Jared Bush, you know, for listening to their audience and supporting the idea of Wildehopps and knowing that a majority of people want that and decide to go with it, which I personally think is smart, because I think it would be dumb if, like, I feel like 90% of people ships them and only 10% doesn't. So I think it would be dumb if they're like, we'll just go with the 10%. And, you know, so I think it was smart. They're like, okay, a majority of people want this. Okay, we're going to go for it. And it's a value lesson for filmmakers and directors that it's not always about what's best for the company or best for money-wise, but also what's best for the audience. And, you know, they could have been like, no, we're not gonna do that, or be like some people that's like, that's not how nature works, or, oh, that's impossible. Well, DreamWorks was able to have a donkey and a dragon procreate, so I think it's not that hard for Disney to do the same for a fox and a bunny. I am definitely looking forward for Zootopia 3. And, you know, based on the post-credits, you know, we're going to discover about birds, which, you know, it's crazy. That's another species I didn't realize, you know, we didn't see in the second one, in the first one. And there's so many different birds, like, they can have, like, I can imagine eagle, hawk, falcon, owls. I think a vulture would be dope. And I think it would also be funny if they had like pigeons or seagulls and kind of add some jokes, you know, with Finding Nemo joke like mine, mine, mine. So I think that would be funny if they kind of add that. And besides birds, I also think we're going to go more in depth with Nick and Judy and the romance start to blossom even more. And I personally think we'll have a more focus with Judy going through these emotions of having romantic feelings for Nick, because this movie in the first one, we were seeing a lot more with Nick. Now it's Judy's turn. And like she doesn't know how to express it, or she thinks Nick doesn't feel the same way about her, or maybe she doesn't know it's romantic feelings. And I don't know, this could also be an interesting one, that maybe she's worried that her parents won't accept it. And, you know, I can actually like picture a scene like, you know, that she talks to her parents and, you know, asks them that if they will still love her for who she is if she fell in love with someone that wasn't a bunny. I can actually picture that scene, and it would be pretty emotional to see that. And I think Bellwether's coming back, you know, just based how the second one ended and, you know, she just got out of prison. I think she might be coming back. And I don't know about Paul Bert, you know, and of course more action. I think it would be cool if we had more of like the bad guys or bad boys kind of action, you know, keep some of that darkness feeling in the movie, because that's one of the things I love about, you know, animated movies is when they have dark tones like that, it really sets the story very nicely and keeps you more on edge of like wanting to know what happens, more fight and battle scenes. And listen, I know this is a kid's movie, but I feel like I kind of want to see Nick and Judy handle some kind of like, you know, weapon, or not a gun, but just like maybe like a tranquilizer gun or something, because I just noticed like we never seen not just Judy but the ZBD use guns or weapons when they're on duty. Like, and again, I know it's a kids movie, but I kind of want to see some like that kind of police action in the third one, because we didn't really see that in the second or the first one. And you know what would be hilarious? That if they do some cops, you know, show reference, you know, for example, like Shrek 2, you know, when Shrek, Puss, and Donkey, you know, are getting arrested, there's a lot of references of the cop show, you know, stop resisting, or, you know, Donkey saying, police brutality, or the pepper spray, or, you know, Puss in Boots, you know, with the catnip, and he's like, that's not mine. I think that would be kind of hilarious if they add certain things like that, you know, the, you know, taser, or that's not mine, or well, why is it in your pants? It's my friend's pants, or, you know, stop resisting. I'm not resisting. Stop moving. I'm not moving. You know, just, I think adding certain things like that, I think would be really funny. And, you know, I think, of course, add a lot more references of other movies or Disney movies, because I think it's so much fun to see that. It would also be cool if they bring something that was the original story of Zootopia before they decided to change it. If some of you who don't know, the original story of Zootopia was far more darker and scarier for kids. And if I can remember correctly, like, Nick was supposed to be the main protagonist, and it focused on him and how in Zootopia predators had to have these shock collars on to control their emotions, and if they express any intensive emotion, they would get shocked. And, you know, I've seen some deleted scenes, and one of them was a deleted scene of like a baby polar bear, you know, celebrating their birthday, and they get their first shock collar and then they put it on, and then they're so excited, but that's a very intense of emotion, and then they experience the shock for the first time. And, you know, it just had this sadness that it was so happy, and then when they get their first shock collar, it just turns into this sadness. So it was very dark. Like, I remember just looking more into the story and deleted scenes, it had a more darker tone, and then they just like, yeah, erase all of that, we're gonna do a whole new story, and then Judy was the main protagonist. So, but I think it would be insane if they kind of bring up, you know, shock collars, or, you know, if the antagonist of the third one uses shock collars against maybe not only predators but prey, you know, use it as a way of control or dominance. And of course it would be dark, but I think it would add a nice tone to the story and to the villain of the third one, if there is like the new one, or if they're gonna have Bellwether or Paulbert. But I think it would be a very interesting reference to add. On the bright side, we won't have to wait another 9 years. I don't think we're gonna wait another decade for this. You know, maybe 4 or 5 years, which I'm fine with that. And plus, you know, sequels mostly are like 4 or 5 years, you know, after the first one. And the directors are already working on it right after Zootopia 2 was released. And last but not least, with my rating of this movie. So is this better than the first movie? It's tough because I can't say yes, but I can't say no. Like, I think they're both equally amazing, and it's like tough because the first one was such a classic, and you know, I love it so much, so it's tough. But I think they're both equally as amazing. Is this Disney's best sequel? Hell yes. You know, better than Moana 2, which I did not like. Better than Inside Out 2, Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Hell, it's even better than The Bad Guys 2. I know it's a DreamWorks, but as a sequel, it's better. And do I recommend this movie? I think you know the answer. Yes. Please go see this movie. I highly recommend seeing this in IMAX, RPX, Dolby, anything but standard. I just think for the experience, it's worth it. So go see this in theaters ASAP. The movie is freaking amazing, and for box office, you know, I'm not really surprised, but in the first 5 days it was in theaters, it already made over $500 million. And last time I checked, it's not too far away from hitting $1 billion. And it's not even been in theaters for 2 weeks. Like, well, the day of recording, it's almost hitting 2 weeks, but probably, you know, by the time this is posted on YouTube, it's already past $1 billion. So yeah, it's already a win-win. It's making history again. It's becoming the biggest animated movie opening in so many different countries. And I recently noticed it made $100 million in one day in China, which that's insane. 1 out of 10, I'll give it a 9. 0 out of 5 stars, I'll give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Rotten Tomato, of course, it's a good tomato. Last time I saw, the percentage was between 92, 93, which I think it's pretty accurate, but I could boost it up to either 94 or 95. So still an accurate percentage. But yeah, that is all I'm gonna say for my review on Zootopia 2. This has probably been the longest movie review I ever done in a very long time. You know, so much to talk about, but I'm so glad it's over. So yeah, so like my video, subscribe my channel, leave comments below what you thought about the review and all of the above. And you know, I catch on to the next reaction video. I'll see you later, guys.